Hello everyone. So in this session, we're going to take another aspect of Azure Data Factory case. We've already seen two pipelines in our previous session. This is another one, but this is getting ready with production automation. Now, what is very important, why it is very important here is, so gone are the days like when you have, in doing a copy paste sort of a things, manually doing the work. Okay. But today we are in an era where we would be, first of all, this validation that used to do, imagine there was a time when you had a service level agreement with the client or whatever it is, you have the data coming from the client. The first thing you would do is open up the data, do some checks, and then if all the checks are done, if all the things are ready, you then put it to a production location. Okay, so there were quite a few bit of steps that you would be following, right? So now those things are all gone now. So while probably the client has already sent you the data and you are not available, things would be running at the back end, and by the time you are already logging into the system next morning, the data is already there in the production. So now that is the level of automations that we are talking about. Okay, now what are the things that we're going to learn here? The first thing that we're going to look here is the moment the file comes to the system, like here, as you can see, we will first validate the data. Then we do some metadata checks in conjunction with the conditioning checks. And after this has passed all of this, we'll send the data for data migration into the production location. Okay. And then if the pipeline has succeeded from end to end, we'll send an email alerts. Either we'll get an email alerts ourselves saying that it has succeeded, or if it has failed, you'll get the mail. So the next morning when you go into the system, you'll see an email stating that the pipeline has failed. You understand the issue immediately, you mail it back to your client. So much so you can make it this automation so much so the moment the data comes, you have the email shooting immediately to the client itself saying there's something wrong already with the data that you have sent. Okay, so that is the level of automation that we're talking about. So with the advent of Azure Data Factory, this manual work, okay, which copy pasting that you would have been doing so forth, these are all gone. It is time efficient. At the same time, you can eradicate human error that can get involved with. So first step is what we do. As soon as probably we'll have a two storage account. In one storage account is where client is going to send the data, another is your production. Okay, another storage account will be a production. So when it has come to from client to our database, if it when it has come to, so what we'll do is first step is a validate check. Okay, so once we have in this validate check, what are you going to check? You're just going to check whether the file has come or not. So if the file has come, the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to do a metadata check. So in the metadata check, what are the checks that can be very essential? Say maybe in the service level agreement, if you had with the clients, there will be a certain number of columns that you'd be expecting, or a range of columns, right? So those number of columns checks that you can do. Okay, the data has come with the capacity it should have. Has it come or not? So these metadata checks that you do. Now this metadata checks goes in conjunction with your conditioning step. Okay, so first step we saw validate, then metadata checks and conditioning checks depends on metadata checks. They are sort of almost overlapping. The reason why I say, because from the metadata checks, if you're checking the number of columns that is coming in your storage account, so you check that conditioning here itself. So you extracted the metadata, and then in conditioning checks you are checking this criteria whether it has met the condition or not. If the conditions are not met, you immediately fail the pipeline or send an error message, whatever it is. The next moment, if it has succeeded totally, then you do a data migration step. So your data would be migrated from your storage to your production location. Okay, so and after it has gone through this data migration completely end to end, this is one pipeline that I'm talking about, then you will have a email shooting. If it has failed, immediately you should have a mail saying that the pipeline has failed. That means there is a problem with the data itself, something has gone wrong, okay, in the data. So this is the level of automation which is getting production ready I'm talking about. Okay, so if we have understand this much, let's jump into action. Then we will go to Azure and see entire process step by step. So okay, so now I'm into Azure Data Factory. So let me just give you what are the things that I'm going to do here. First, I'm going to create a two storage account. One is blob, another one is data lake. So blob is where I'm going to get the data from the client. Okay, and once I've received the data, all the metadata checks and everything, it will be initiated here itself, and this data migration will go to another storage account, which is data lake, that I'm going to create, is going to be my production location. Okay, so from here maybe it will go to the other sources. Maybe you would be running machine learning, maybe Power BI, some sort of analysis that you go graphically, because your data is all clean now, so you can do that. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So first thing first, I'm going to create a two storage account, one blob and one data lake, and then we'll create data factory and do entire pipelines. Okay, so let me first of all, first thing first, we'll create a resource group, which is very important, because this is the resource group I'm going to use for every Azure service that I'm going to create for this particular project. So first, to create one, let's name it as resource group, right? I'll name it as RG to start with, saying it is a resource group. Then I'm going to give it a name, say training 11. This is 11 number training maybe. So I'm going to give TRA, okay, training, and I'm going to review and create right away. So you don't have to invest much time in resource group. Ideally, every service for every project that you do, a resource group should be associated accordingly. That's a convention that we follow. So once this is created, I'll go to home, and I'm going to create a storage account. Okay, the first storage account that I'm going to create is, let me create blob itself. Okay, so the difference between a blob and your data lake, there is some differences. Blob is a little cheaper, and data lakes is little expensive, not much of differences. The storage account comes very at a cheap rate itself. Okay, in my further sessions, I'm going to take you through the difference between your blob and data lake maybe. And so for now, let us continue here. So resource group I'm going to mention is as training 11, RG training 11, and then storage account, I'll name it now, since I said it's a blob, so let me put the name accordingly. So this is a training, TRAINING, training 11. I'll mention it blob, so I can easily identify that it is a blob. So I'm going to maintain its standard, and this I'll make it locally redundant. So locally redundant is nothing that you're going with a less price option. So I'll review and create. So for a blob, that's the straightforward thing that you do. So up next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a data lake. So as it is creating, see, it has already been submitted and deployment is in progress. So let it happen at the back end. Let me go to again Microsoft Azure, and let me in meanwhile create data lake. Okay, so I'll quickly create data lake here, resource group, RG training, and here I'm going to give it a name now, data lake. Okay, so training 11, and I'm going to put as lake, so identifiable. Okay, standard, and I'm going to make it locally redundant, and review and create. Okay, so I missed one step here. I should not have review and create it. I'll go to the advanced tab right away. So remember, you do not do it. Come to the next step in advanced, and then click on enable hierarchical namespace. That's differentiates between blob and the data lake. See, if you see on the top, it says data lake storage gen 2 endpoint. So now I'm going to, once I've clicked it, I'm going to review and create. So this should automatically take me to create button. I have to press it. That's it. So it's going to take some time. Okay, to at the back end, it is going to get created. So in the meanwhile, let me tell you what more I'm going to do here. So in this blob, and at the same time in the data lake, I'm going to create one container each. So inside the training blob, I'm going to create one container. I'll name it as input. Okay, this is where my client is going to send the data. Okay, and all my validation checks and everything, I'm going to do it here itself once it is available. So I have created, this is empty for now. Let me quickly go and create another container in Delta Lake. So Delta Lake is, I think, sorry, Data Lake is still creating at the back end. It's still not deployed. That's what I can see here. Okay, it's being deployed. It has not come here, but I'll go from the resources from here itself. Okay, see, Data Lake storage, it has got created. Let me create a container. So I'll name this container here as output. Okay, just for our convenience. I've given it a name called output. That's it. So once this is done, now straightway I'll head back and create Azure Data Factory. Okay, I'll create a data factory here with the naming convention. Again, resource group I'm going to maintain is as RG training A for same project, all the same resources. Okay, now name DF and training DF reason being data factory and training TRAI G training 11. That's it. Let's make it very simple. Instead of use East US, I'm going to put Central India. Okay, the reason why is choose Central India, so it should be less pricey for me because I'm doing this from India itself now. Yeah, so once your Azure Data Factory is getting created, so first thing first we will do, we'll go inside the data factory, and what we're going to do is we can quickly create the link service and the data sets. So if you're still not aware of what is link service and database, do visit my previous session, but let me still give you an idea about it. Now these are nothing, this link service and data sets inside data factory which I'm going to create now, these are nothing but, let me see, in data factory it has got created. Okay, as you can see here. So I'll open up, launch the studio here. Now here it's going to be here, let me explain it to you properly. Okay, so what you're going to do here is the link service that I was talking about. Okay, this is why we do link services. As you can see, link services are nothing but making connections. Okay, connections of what? Between data factory and the storage account which we have created just now, the input container from the blob, and another connector at the output level. Okay, so that the data migration happens in a pipeline. At the same time, so all the validations that you're going to see, it would be happening. So not only just link service is a connector, and then again we have to connect, we have to make a data sets. What are data sets? Data sets are letting the Azure Data Factory know what kind of a data you are sending. Is it an Excel sort of a data or CSV formatted data? Okay, so that's what data set is going to say. So for both, for blob to data factory, I have to correct, I have to make one data sets, another is to the production location, and that means the data lake, the output container where I'm going to put the file. Over there also I'll have to give one dataset name. So one link service and another one dataset. That's it. So quickly let's go and create one. So here I am in the manage, in the link service. I'm going to, first of all, let me do it for the source. So for source, I know it's blob. I'm going to quickly type it as blob, and then let me select this. I'll name it as according to the convenient is ls link service, and then this is for a blob, and this is also, I'll name it as source. Okay, so in that way this becomes more convenient for me to understand, because we'll have to drop down and select all of this which I'm creating now. So storage account, it's going to be your training 11 lake. Okay, no, not lake, sorry, it's blob. And in the next step, that's it. I can test the connection here. It's going to be green. I'm not going to waste time here. I'm going to quickly create. So my link service is created. Another link service would be to the production, which is data lake. So if you see a data lake gen 2, okay, and then I'll quickly name it as ls lake, and this is going to be my sink. The place where I put the file, the production location, is a sink. Okay, so I'm going to mention it as sink. So these are all my convenient way of putting the name. You can put it, put your convenient way of putting the name. Okay, but do remember this term called source and the sink. Okay, sink is where you're going to put the data finally. Okay, and the storage account name is going to be a training lake. That's it. I'm not going to test the connection here. It's going to be green, I'm for sure. Let me save some time now. Okay, two things have gotten created now. Link service, the connector between the two. Now the data sets. Okay, I'll have to go to the author. I'll have to click on data sets in the 3 button, new data sets. So first data set between these two, I'm going to get a CSV file. So the CSV file that I'm going to have, let me show it to you if I have it already open. Okay, so this is the export.csv file that I'm going to look at. If you look into my previous session, I have used this particular file everywhere. Okay, now if you see this file, which is a .csv file, export.csv, it has got 6 columns: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Procedure date, claim date, patient date, drug name, bucket, and real date. Okay, this is the data set I have. So remember, I have only 6 columns because I'm going to mention this in metadata checks. Okay, I'll minimize this as of now. Since I've shown it, the data set that I'm creating is a CSV file. So I'm going to first of all create blob. From blob, I'm going to receive this. So I'm creating a data set now, blob, and see, this is where I have to select CSV. Okay, that I'll be creating a CSV file. So I'm going to put name according to my naming conventions, DS. DS, it's going to be from blob and from source. That's the name. Okay, and the link services, see your drop down, it is selecting ALS Bob source. Okay, though you have only one, there is no chance of you getting confused. It's input. Okay, and I'm going to put it okay. So far the input folder, right, that's a container I have put it. Okay, I've selected the container where I'll be getting that input file. So I'll put it okay here. Okay, now as you see here, the moment it comes, right, you see this data part, the file name is not there, right? So for me to check this file probably for the metadata checks and everything, at first let me put the data itself here. The reason why I'll be putting this data in this account already, so that my validation checks that I'm going to do, I should be already having the data columns. So next time onwards, I can have the data as and when I want. Okay, so if you have not understand, you will understand slowly. So I'm going to training blob, my storage account, blob service, and input folder. I'm going to upload the data here. I'll tell you why I'm uploading this data at the later half. Okay. Okay, this is the data I have. I'll upload it. In my input container, I have uploaded this. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to browse this input folder here. So it should show up the export CSV. Okay, now once this is done, the next step that I'm going to do, I'll have to create another data sets, which is for data lake for the production. Okay, gen 2, continue, and I will again want it to be in a CSV format in the production. Okay, data lake. So CSV, and this, the name that I'm going to give it as the data lake and then sync, and here it should have automatically come ls lake sync. This is the link service. Now here I'm going to direct this to output folder. Since the file is not at all ready, I'll not have to be bothered about at all. Just go on selecting OK wherever you have to. Okay, now I have created the data and the link service is totally done. The next step, I can publish it as of now. Okay, to keep things up to date, whatever I've done, let's publish it. You can do it all at once at the end, but if you do it in step by step, it will be fine. Okay, so now once this is done, let me go and create the pipeline here. Okay, so in the pipeline, the first step that I have told you is that we are going to do a metadata check first. Okay, so here sorry, not metadata, validate whether the file is available or not. Validate. Okay, so I'm going to copy. So in general, the validation is in general. I had to just search it. Okay, under the general, you will have this validation. Okay, so as you see, the general is here. So validation, I've copied it. Now in validation check, if you come down the setting property, I'm going to select blob source. Okay, and it is saying that it will time out after 12 hours. If the file is not ready after 12 hours, it is going to say me that the file is not ready. I don't want that to be delayed so much. Ideally, so since we are in a training session, let me put it maybe 15 seconds, because the last thing that will be in seconds. Okay, and it is going to sleep for let me put it 30 seconds. Okay, so that I can explain it to you. What is the sleep? So it will take a pause 3 times. Okay, this is seconds, 10 seconds. Every 10 seconds after, it is going to go and check whether the file is available or not. Okay, so in this 30 second, it is going to make an attempt of 3 times. That's what it says in 30 seconds. Minimum size, see, I mean, I have mentioned it 30 seconds. Imagine that if I receive a 10 GB file, do you think in just 30 seconds that file will be all there in the folder, the input container? Might be not. Okay, might be possible, might be not. You will see initially the size will keep growing as and when the data is totally getting inside your input container, right? Slowly and slowly. Instantly also it might happen, depends on the how fast rate the data is coming. So that's why a minimum size you can put it. Okay, maybe you can put it 5 GB. Okay, so in case if it is 5 GB, you can put it so yeah. So for this I'm going to leave it blank because my data set is very small. So that's the reason I know that maybe just 5 seconds is enough for this to come. I don't have to wait 30 seconds. So ideally, if the data is not available even after 30 seconds in the input container, it should time you out. Okay, so that's what the name suggests here. So the next step that I'm going to do from here is yeah. So after validation, we are going to do a metadata checks. So for metadata check, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to come here and type again metadata. So again, that is also in general. Okay. So if you open up the general, sometimes you will see there are so many functions. Okay. Here, if I open it up, you can see so many functions are there. Okay. So currently I'll be dealing with metadata. The moment you click here, right, in metadata, you should see all the setting properties and all related to metadata. If I would have done it for validation, it would have come for validation. So metadata, I'm in metadata here. I'll go to the settings. So if you understand now, okay, blob service I have selected, right? So from source, metadata setting, and then I'll click ds blob source. Okay, same thing. Other things I'm going to leave it as usual that are not important, but field list is very, very important. I'm going to create here the field list, that is the columns. That's where you're going to pull out the data, extract data. Okay, the first thing is column count. This column count won't show up if you don't have this already. Data sets, you don't already have it. Okay, initially it won't show. That's the reason in the input folder I already had this file initially. Okay, so that it gives me the column count option. Suppose if the container was totally blank, right, initially that's how it's going to be for all of us. It's going to be blank once you have productionized it. Okay, but before production, as a prototype, you can keep one data and then this column count option would come up, or else you will not have that column count option. That's what I've seen. Maybe you can get it, but all other options would be there. Some other options would be there. So I'm going to add few more. Maybe I'm not going to use it, but I'm going to add exist. Okay, and another one, let me put item type. Okay, this you can check it. What are this? Okay, predominantly I'll be looking for the column count itself, column counts. So in the service level agreement, client must have told me, Rajat, as we have seen in the export data, there are 6 columns. So he said, Rajat, there can be only 6 columns. Okay, so I'll be checking that in my metadata. Okay, so see, I have not checked it. Okay, I have just procured it in get metadata, that I'm going to get a column count from here. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to apply a condition. If you remember, I said condition, if condition. Okay, I'm going to put if condition. So if condition will work in conjunction with your get metadata. I see this is the linking that I did. Okay, I have linked it from here. It will get linked to this if condition. Now in if condition, if you see, the moment I click this option that I've got activity, so if I click on this property, right, in this box, I add dynamic content will pop up. So this is where I have to click it. So the moment I click it here, so these are all the things that you can do. Okay, I'm going to explain it to you. Get metadata column count. So this is the one that I'm going to pick it for my study. You have exist, you have item type of file or a folder, return value or a file. See, these are all small explanation already given. Whether the file exists or not, that you can check. So many things that you can do from here. Okay, now in get metadata, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do at the rate equals, because I'm going to check equal sign. Okay, why I have put equal, I'll just tell you. So the moment you click here, it will show that there is one comma on the left hand side is blank, right hand side of the comma is blank. So I'll go to the left hand side first and select column count. See, all that said, activity get metadata output column count. So it is looking for a column count here. And then what I'll do is I'll put 6. So column count is 6, I'm saying. So if it is 6, that means it's succeeded. Okay, that's what my SLA level agreement said, that a column would have only 6. Okay, now I'm going to put it yes. So if it is true, now condition you have set it, if it is true, then what are you going to do? So I'm going to click here for a plus. At that time, my copy data will be initiated. So I'll put copy data. See, select here copy. Copy data would be selected. I'll just click here in the copy. So moment you select, everything will show up here. So this is related to all your copying. So it succeeded. So from now, the place where client has sent the data in the input container, it will go to your production that is in data lake. Okay, my source is blob. Okay, ds blob. Sync is going to be my ds lake sync. So that's where your sync is going to be. Okay, so that is two things that you need to do. Rest all the things as of now you can just ignore it. Okay, if you see my previous video, you will get some more ideas from here. But yeah, all this I'm going to leave it blank. That's it. Once this is done, for true it is happening this. Okay, what about false? In false, I'm just going to fail it. Okay, I'll have to let know, right, that it has failed. So in fail, if I click here, I'll go to the settings. Very important is you have to pass this message. Okay, fail message. I'll say pipeline failed. Failed due to validation, maybe due to validation checks. That's the message I can put. Error code also mandatory. If you see red start, that means you have to put, let me for now 404 or 102, whatever you want. I'll just put any number, arbitrary number. Okay, so now once this is done, what we can do is, once this has been copied, do you think there is any relevance of the data which has come initially from the client side? You can keep it or you can delete it. So what I'll do is I'll rather delete it. So what will you do? So it's going to happen inside here, right? So if succeeded, only then you delete it. If it has failed, then keep it there. You will need it. So instead, I'll go to this true and I'm going to click it here. Okay. So once you are clicking inside, see if you have come inside the pipeline with a true statement. Here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, from activity, I'm going to select for delete, and I'm going to select here delete. Okay, so once delete is selected, what I'm going to do, source is going to be the file where I'm deleting it, right? Log source. So I'm selected that. Log settings, you don't have to put log lagging. Let me put it blob source itself. Okay, for a log, it is going to be staying there. That's it. Now, once delete is done, that's it. I don't have to think of anything now. Just click here. You are back again. Okay, so the entire pipeline is now ready for me. So this pipeline, I'm going to just streamline it. So let me publish till here, whatever I have done. Okay, once this is done, the email alert is what you are waiting for. Okay, so how I'm going to, okay, if it fails here. So for that, I'll have to come to monitor and then alert matrix. Okay, so in alert matrix, what I'm going to do, I'm going to select new alert. I'll change the name to new alert training 11, and sorry, I'll make it training 11 is already there. So I'm just going to mention it as maybe training underscore 11. Okay, so severity, I'm going to put it 0. Add criteria. Okay, now what is this adding criteria here is, when you select it, you find the reason why it should fail. Okay, so I'm going to say that it should fail for when the pipeline is failing. Okay, so for some reason, if the pipeline fails, you give me the email alert. So I'm saying failed pipeline. So similarly, you can do it for pipeline getting succeeded as well. But I think the red alert should be, I feel that when your pipeline is succeeded. So sorry, a pipeline is getting failed. So I'm going to do it for that. Okay. Condition greater than, all it means is for any pipeline. I mean, from starting from one pipeline getting failed, you just give me an email alert. Okay. So yeah. So what I'll do, I'll add this criteria, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to configure the notification. So adding criteria is done. There will be a configure email. Okay. Configure notification. So group name, I'm going to mention it as training 11. Okay, and in short name I'm going to give it as train 11. Okay, sorry, said train 11. And in add notification, you'll have to add notification, and then you can give it action name, but I'm just putting it whatever it's there. I'm going to give the email here. Okay, so for my, let me give the email whatever I have it here. Okay, that is, that's it. I don't want anything else, but give me an email. That's what I'm saying here. Okay, other things I'm just going to leave it blank, and I'm going to add notification here, add an action group and notification. So all this process that you see might not work for you. Okay, might not work for you. The reason being, you'll have to go do one step here. You'll have to go to input. Okay, and then you go to home here. What are you going to do? You're going to go to Azure subscription. You will come to settings here. Okay, in the drop downs of setting, you're going to select resource providers, and inside the resource providers, you're going to go for this filter by name here, and going to put Microsoft dot insights. Okay, the moment you select insights, so what is going to come here, this is the one. See, for me is green ticked registered, right? So in your case, it's not going to be green ticked registered. All that you have to do, click it, and then it is saying re-register, okay, or unregister. You're going, for you it's going to be register first, the first time if you're doing it. But if it is saying that re-register, that means you are already registered. You don't have to do anything. So if not, you just register yourself. Then it's going to take 10 minutes of time. It doesn't happen instantly, nor does it takes hours of time, but it just 10 minutes. You'll see it will be green ticked. So once this is done, this entire thing will be succeeded. Okay, you'll be able to create alert rule. So by default, it doesn't come along completely in the package. You'll have to get it like this. So already there was one created by me. This is another one that got enabled as of now. So what I'm going to do now, my entire pipeline is ready. Okay, since the pipeline is ready, all that I'll do is I'll go to this and I'll add a trigger here. Okay, edit one. Okay, this is I created earlier. This I'm going to create a new one here, and I'm going to mention is trigger one. Let me put it trigger two. Okay, trigger two this is, and let me schedule a time. This is for 13th, and I'm going to select a time. This is right now it's 1 o'clock and 2 minutes, so I'm going to make it 1 o'clock and 1 o'clock, and I'm going to select here, say for example, instead of 3 I'm going to make it 4, and then I'm going to make it okay. So 13th time is all set. I'm going to put okay, and I'm going to publish it. Okay, trigger, I'm going to publish the trigger, and I have to quickly see whether my or the data set already is available or not in the blob. I think it should be there. Blob service input folder. Here you see I already have a file available. Okay, and output folder should be totally blank. As of now it should be blank, but once the pipeline is getting kicked off, output folder, so it's blank as you see. Okay, so let me quickly check. So my publishing has been completed. Okay, now the pipeline should initiate. What's the time now? 3. Okay, it should start at 4. So I'll go in the monitor and I'll keep checking the pipeline. So 3 pipeline already was there for me. So right now I'm checking the 4th one. Should be getting the 4th one anytime. So it should be coming there. So the pipeline fourth has just started off. Okay, it has got trigger 2 is in progress, so this should fail. Okay, trigger 2 should fail. It succeeded, trigger was able to succeed, but it should fail here. So if it is failing here, all that I need to show you is the notification. See, it has failed. Okay, now that means I should get an email alert. Now email alert too, you don't get it instantly. Again, it takes 2-3 minutes, or at times 5 minutes it will take. Okay, then you should go. So for me, as of now, since I have to close it, what I'll do is I'm going to quickly show it to the one that I've got it previously. See, that's the message you're going to get. Okay, as your monitor alert was triggered, so on and so forth. Yeah, so that's it. Thank you so much.